Thanks for joining me, Helena. The 30% Club is setting a target of 30% women on boards by 2018, and Patricia Cross is leading the charge in Australia. She's made the point that quotas would change things faster. So why are targets working better than quotas in countries like Norway and elsewhere?
So quotas are like a shortcut. It gives the appearance of change. And of course, as Patricia said, it doesn't create sustainable, meaningful change. And what we've seen in countries like Norway, often cited as the kind of poster child for success of quotas, is actually there are very few women in the executive ranks, very few women in the pipeline. So they're now quite worried in Norway. They've got actually fewer women in executive management roles than they had before the quota was introduced, because the women in those roles stopped what they were doing and became non-exec directors. And I'm afraid the only way, however long it takes, is to achieve real change for all organisational levels, is to do it through a voluntary approach.
Now, the 30% Club, where have you seen it the most successful? Which countries and why?
So definitely the UK has achieved most, because really it started sooner. We've been going for nearly 5 years now, and I think there's been 5 replicable factors. We've had a very clear target with a deadline. We've had the support of really powerful men and women business leaders who are approaching this not as a women's issue, but as a business issue. We've had cross-party political support and media attention that's been very sustained. And those might be quite hard to achieve sometimes, but it's really been quite interesting seeing how that has kept the momentum going. It's also been a very collaborative approach. 30% Club is not about being territorial, it's not about owning the issue, it's about making things happen. And work very collaboratively with other people in this space who are already doing great things, just try to bring some cohesion to the effort. And then last but by no means least, of course, you can't wave a magic wand. Even however keen people are to see the differences, then we need to make sure there's actions behind the ambition. So we've got a whole series of actions in the UK, from the schoolroom to the boardroom, a real joined up programme at this stage.
Now, you've seen a lot of companies take action to get more women into their boardrooms. What's the most significant thing a company can do apart from putting women on boards themselves?
Well, I think to evangelise about it as a business issue is really important, because I think for a long time this was stuck in women talking to other women. It became a bit of a sense of militant overtones around it as well, that women were feeling aggrieved about not being in the boardroom, about not being in senior roles. Very important that it's been recalibrated as a really just part of having a modern, successful business. And I think the biggest impact that I've seen that companies can make on the whole agenda is to get out and lead by example, and then to explain why they're doing it and why it's important to them.
Why is it important that we have peer company chairs putting pressure on the boards of the companies that haven't got any females on them?
So, one of the reasons why we call it a club, I'm conscious that that word might have some connotations that not everybody likes, but it's important to recognise that the world in which we live in, there are groups. People like to look to the members of the group. And the Chairman's Club around the world is a really big community, an important community of significant business leaders. By people who others respect, standing up and saying this is important, I'm doing something about it, why aren't you? It has again changed the dynamic. It's not me tapping someone on their shoulder and saying, oh, look at women, look at us, we are important too. This is about those people saying that it's important to them.
Now, many women in boardrooms fought hard to get there, and they don't want to be closely associated with diversity. But how important is it that they now come out, now that the men are out supporting this, that they come out as well?
I think it's really important. I understand there's been some reticence in the past that women have felt if they sort of fly the flag for other women, then they might be marginalised, that they might not be taken as seriously as if they're just encouraging people on merit. Obviously, diversity can be a contributory factor to merit, and it's about recalibrating what we mean by merit. I've now seen women, those same women who perhaps were a little reluctant or reticent to start with, now be very generous about the issue, being very supportive of other women, recognise this is good for business and seen as a mainstream business issue. So I think we're getting there, but it's important that we recognise it's not just about men, it's about women as well, encouraging others.
Now, you're a very astute businesswoman running a global asset manager with around 100 billion, with a very impressive CV in finance. You have many other directorships, and of course you've got 9 children. What's your top tip for men and women to stop them burning out?
Well, I'm not going to be a great advert for someone who paces themselves, obviously. I think, it's very energizing if you enjoy what you do. I think that, having fulfilling life can in turn help you to do more and to feel capable of doing it, feel less overwhelmed sometimes. And we all suffer from those moments when it all seems too much. I would not say that I'm immune from the feeling, and sometimes have to stop myself and make sure that I'm not taking on too much. I'm absolutely delighted that Brenda Trenoden, who's head of financial institutions for ANZ in Europe, she has agreed to take on a bigger role within the 30% Club, a leadership of the day-to-day activities. Brenda's worked on the 30% Club with me right since the start. I certainly can't carry it single-handedly. There are a lot of women and men working on it, and I'm really delighted that she's taken on that new role to help.
Thank you, Helena.
Pleasure. Thank you.